Hey everybody, I want to talk about a subject that I've spoken about before, but it sort of bears repeating. There is this red pill philosophy that's out there for men, and I'm sure most of you have heard of it, but if you haven't, I'll just briefly go over what it is, and then some advice for you guys who are believers in the red pill, or maybe you're just discovering it, or maybe you haven't found it at all, and you, of course, now that you've heard about it, you want to look into it. So let me tell you what it is. It stems from the Matrix, the whole red pill, blue pill thing, where you take the blue pill, you go back into Wonderland, all that stuff, or you go back to the way things were, you don't remember anything. But the red pill, you gain the knowledge, you wake up, you see the world for how it truly is, et cetera, et cetera. And so what the red pill is, at its core, what it's meant to do is for some of these men who are not assertive, the ones who get controlled and manipulated by women, and ladies, you know who these men are, just not very headstrong. You're the people pleaser, the happy wife, happy life philosophy, being a good provider, the types of men that post pictures of their wives and say, I don't know what she sees in me, I'm so lucky to have her, how did I end up with such a how did I end up with such a keeper? She likes stupid little me, that kind of stuff. Self-deprecating, pedestals a woman as a higher value than himself. There's a number of things that go into the definition of being the quote blue-pilled man. Being the red pill, what it's meant to do at its core, what it is intended to do, is to help those men sort of, for lack of a better term, find their balls and, stiffen the spine a little bit and realize what it is that women actually want from them, what women actually need from them. And ladies, we can be honest for a second here. Sometimes it is really, really hard for you to be able to articulate your needs to a man who doesn't already understand it or get it. Every single woman watching this video knows that to be true. When you want or need your man to do something or be something or to do something a certain way, language breaks down, or it's like, why can't you just naturally get it or understand it, right? That's a blue pilling of a man, right? So the red pill at its core intention is to help eliminate those I don't want to say shortcomings, but remediate men's education, we'll say. And now there are parts of the red pill that are uncomfortable for, I guess we'll say, modern day feminist women. Some of them get offended by some of the red pill philosophy teachings. And so, and of course, there are certainly fringe groups on both sides that get it wrong, and you really have to sort of filter through that. But that's basically what it is in a nutshell. I went through my first divorce because my wife was having an affair. She was cheating with a man who lived 4 hours away from me. He was living with his mom. He was a bass player of a band. He was 30 years old, no kids, single dude, just a 30-year-old dude playing the bass guitar in a band, living with his mama. And she was driving 4 hours away to go cheat with him. And here I was. I had an established career in software. I guess I was close to 10 years of experience at the time. I think I had 8, 9 years. 6-figure income. I built a house for her. She made all the custom selections, and I custom built the house that she wanted. Bought her the car that she wanted. And I did all the things, a happy wife, happy life. So I defined my life by making her happy and giving her the things that she wanted and needed. And how did what happened? Well, I got cheated on. And so even at that, I said I didn't want a divorce because we had a son, and I wanted to work things through with her, that we were going to go seek a professional, get things remediated, try to figure out what it was that was driving the cheating, and then try and fix it for the sake of our child. And she said that would be too inconvenient, that she just wanted to continue seeing this other man that she didn't see it lasting longer than 4 or 6 months, but she felt like she had outgrown being married, and that she wanted to just do her own thing for a little while and see things through, and then after she got it out of her system, then maybe reconcile. And I said, or I could just divorce you, and that's what I did. So after that, I set out on a journey, because I figured, it's like, how does that happen to me? Because I did everything according to the book. You know, I graduated school, I went to college, I got my degree, I got a good job, I was a good provider. I mean, I custom built the house for my wife, the mother of my child, you know. I did all these things that men are supposed to do, good men. And what happened? I mean, she started driving 4 hours to see this guy, living with his mama. So I figured there's got to be something wrong with me, and I started dating again, and date after date after date after date ended without even a kiss goodnight, let alone any kind of sexual action. No second dates, nothing, just first dates and then ghosting. And so I figured there's really got to be something wrong with me. So I started, it's like, okay, I clearly don't understand women or what women want. I need to understand these things. And so I set out to educate myself. I read a number of different books of all types, from pickup arts to seduction to relationships, long-term relationships, marriages, psychology, female psychology, the human mating ritual. Yes, we have a mating ritual. It's interesting. All these different things to try and figure out what it was women wanted. And that's whenever that body of literature has morphed and evolved into this official moniker of red pill philosophy. So that's what it is. And it teaches things like, I guess official subjects within red pill philosophy are things like hypergamy or hypergamy, depending on how you like to pronounce it, which is basically the scientific, the behavioral model for how women choose to date, how they choose their mates and their partners. There's SMV, which is sexual marketplace value. So men like to understand things like the stock market and cryptocurrency and stuff like that. So SMV is a explanation geared for men in market terms that men can better understand. So it teaches those things. It also teaches about, I hate the terms alpha male and beta male, because they're not real things. They're not actual things. And to the people that would counteract that, let me start by saying alpha and beta males, there's no such thing, because the man who actually coined those terms is on the record. It's got a TED Talk and many other interviews where he says he regrets adding those labels because it was to chimpanzees, not humans, chimps. And chimp social structure does not at all resemble human social structures whatsoever. And he wrote a book, and it was a book on politics, and somehow or another it ended up in the US Senate, and it got to Newt Gingrich, and then Newt Gingrich passed the book around, and then the term alpha male was born, and this happened in the mid to late 90s. But there is no such thing. The way the labels are used today are actually just they sort of obfuscate a different word, or a different concept, and that's maturity, right? So an alpha male really is just a man who's mature in many different ways. A beta male is a man who is immature within a specific dimension of his character and being, right? So once you start finding immature areas in men, then they will be, quote, beta males within that specific context, right? But as with everything, social context changes dynamically, constantly, right? If you're a good bowler and you go bowling, well, then you're going to be the alpha male at the bowling lanes, right? But then if you go and you sit down and you play chess and you suck at chess, you're going to be a beta, right? So the terms really are just, they're useful for describing comparative and relative positioning of men on a social hierarchy or a social structure. So That's what it is. That's what it teaches. And now I want to, because I've been following these things since 2013. So this is going on like 8 years now, 7-8 years. And I just want to give some advice to some of you, especially to you men, okay? And that's this. The red pill philosophy is a specific prescription for a specific situation to cure the blue-pilled male mindset, right? It is not a prescription for life. And that is the fundamental difference. And that's something that they don't talk about. Because if you adhere too strongly to red pill philosophy for too long, I can tell you exactly what happens, because it happens to me and it happens to every young man that's in these men's groups where I try to mentor and counsel young men. And whenever they first come in and I tell them these things, they laugh. They're like, oh, you're just some old guy, you're past your prime, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, well, first of all, you're a little bitch, and second of all, I've been through the fires, more fires than you'll ever know. So, and usually after 6 months, they come back and they say, you know what, you were right. Now I see, and I'm like, okay, welcome back. When you adhere too strongly to red pill, because you have to recognize it is a rectifier of toxicity in your life. But once you get that stuff rectified, you're done with the red pill. You took your medicine. You got that stuff fixed. If you don't move on after that, then you stay stuck. And what happens is your life becomes like Groundhog Day. Okay? And I'll give a good example. Red pill philosophy, part of it is to learn pickup arts, to learn what women really want, and to be able to go out and flirt and have all the women, all the pretty girls want you, basically, right? Well, okay, that's what every man wants, and I had that for while I was doing it. I had access to as many pretty women as I wanted, and I indulged myself until I got tired of it, got bored of it, and I stopped. Because this will resonate with any man who has been doing the red pill for too long, or they're still frustrated. You end up in a cycle like Groundhog Day, where every date and every day and every interaction is just identical. All right, so you get up and you go out, you do your red pill thing, and you say, okay, who's my girl of the day, right? You're gonna go out, you get in this perpetual cycle of introducing yourself to somebody new. And that person does not remain in your life. And from a ROI standpoint, return on investment, after a while it becomes apparent that it is a waste of time, because you are gaining certain things: sexual attraction, sex appeal, the number of sexual partners, etc. But it is all transient. So it's not a long-term asset. It's more of a liability. It's a short-term gain. But it is not a worthwhile long-term investment. You get stuck. Because for all the time, effort, and energy that you're putting into being social, and to being the, quote, alpha male, and to being the man that all the women seem to want, none of them will be around within... The vast majority of them won't be around. In less than a year's time, I dated dozens of women. And now 7 or 8 years later, I still only have a casual relationships with a handful of them. So, and it's because, they moved on, they found their partners, they're all, married, they've gone on with their lives, and there was never any sort of ill will or nothing like that. We were friends, and to be honest, if I called any of them up, they'd probably be happy to hear from me. They'd be like, hey, you haven't heard from you in a while. How have you been? Because I left everything on good terms, right? But for all that effort and energy that I put into it, you know, I've been married 6-7 years now. I've got a great woman, and that was my end game, was I need to get good at dating and good at knowing what women want and need, so when I do find the woman that I want, I can get her, right? That was my goal, and I accomplished it. But you have to always keep that in mind. The red pill philosophy is not a prescription for the rest of your life. It is a specific prescription to fix a specific problem, right? So you got to remember that. And so yeah, if you're a male empath and you struggle with narcissistic women, you should look into the red pill philosophy, because it will help you mature in the areas that you need to mature in. But don't get too wild and crazy with it, and don't place too much value in it, because after you're fixed, then you're going to have to switch gears again into more of a what makes sense as a long-term investment, we'll say, right? So that's really about it. That's what the red pill philosophy is, what it teaches, and what you should know about it. And again, some of you ladies listening, like I said before, some of the red pill stuff is not necessarily pleasant things for women to hear, but you also need to understand what it is trying to do, and what it is at its heart, what it is trying to accomplish. And again, not every man who proclaims to know about the red pill actually gets it right. So there's no shortage of men that get out there that get it wrong. And a big clue is men who project themselves as being, quote, alpha males, and the ones who cling way too tightly to those labels. It's like, no, because one of the traits of the so-called alpha male is to not go around flaunting the fact he's an alpha, right? That's stupid. The very second you start doing that, negates the very label itself. So, you know, that's always something to watch out for. Not every man gets it right, but you know, I'm 7-8 years out of, you know, past the point in my life where I used such philosophies, and yeah, it will help. If you're a man struggling with girls or narcissistic women and all of that, check out red pill philosophies. It'll help you. But just don't think that it's all you need to know. There's far more that you need to know. So that's it. Thank you guys very much. Please like, comment, or share.